Welcome to the Social for Brokers podcast. Today, I have Sam Lappin on the podcast. So Sam is a regional sales manager in the Primis network, a role that he's been in since August of 2021. And if anyone has had dealings with Sam over the last few months, especially on social media, or if you've seen him out and about, you'll see he's definitely grabbed the ball by the horns. He's all over social media, and you'll see his face everywhere, which is great to see from my side. I wanted to get Sam on today to speak about what the future looks like for mortgage advisors, because although I'm aware there are a lot of mortgage advisors with experience that listen to the podcast, there are people that listen who are thinking about getting into the industry. So it'll be useful for them to hear about the future of the mortgage world. So without further ado, Sam, welcome to the podcast.
Hi, Chris. Thank you so much for having me on. It's a pleasure.
Good to have it. We've been chatting for the last probably couple of months now, hasn't it? It just came through LinkedIn, didn't it? We had a bit of a chat, and it's been a relationship since then, hasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. To be honest, I've been aware of you for a while, Chris, and we'll discuss this more so in a minute, I'm sure. But what I'm doing at the moment is sort of carrying on the work of Dave Corbett when he was a part of Primis, and you worked quite closely with Dave, didn't you? So yeah, it's been really good for us to develop a relationship, and to be on the pod is fantastic. I'm awesome. A big fan of it. So yeah.
Thanks for coming on, mate. Thank you. So before we start, like with everybody, I'd just like to get a bit of a background to you. Let's start with your career. Where did you start in Primis? Where were you before Primis, and where are you now?
Yeah, so I've actually got a degree in politics. Wow. So as you can see, I've really carried that on and forged a career out of that. Yeah, I did politics at university, graduated, and then I went and travelled around Australia for about a year, just backpacking, which was absolutely amazing. Came back and realised that I didn't have any money or a car, and fortunately managed to get a job at Primis, working in the fees and commissions team, which I really, really enjoyed. Instantly was on board with the whole culture at Primis, really felt that I fit in there. And then I've just really worked my way up into the role that I'm in now, which is regional sales manager, which I'm really, really happy about. So that's my slightly strange route into the industry, but I feel like there are a lot of stories like that. I'm not sure how many people join the industry wanting to beforehand. I think it is one that people sort of fall into, but then come to love. So yeah, absolutely.
It is similar to a lot of people that are on here. It's kind of, some people went to recruitment day just to kind of help numbers and ended up getting into the mortgage world. So it's something, because I don't think we're taught about it in school, are we? Not taught about mortgages. So it's almost like an alien subject to us. When you leave school at 16 or 18 now, you'd be like, well, what's a mortgage? So it'd be hard to get into that industry. You know, the fees and commission side of things, was that sat at a computer every day, dealing through emails? Did you speak to many people on the phone?
Yeah, no, absolutely. It was. It's a really broker-facing department, that one, and often the query would be regarding something to do with commission, but I think a lot of it was actually, you'd end up becoming a bit of an agony aunt almost. You'd not only listen to people's problems, but how they were finding, the industry and how business was. So that role, I got on with brokers, and I think that is something that obviously I need to do in my role, because I'm obviously trying to recruit them and trying to grow their businesses. So it was really important that that was the case. But yeah, it was a lot of talking on the phones, a lot of responding to emails, and I was fortunate to be able to go to many of the Primis events. So yeah, no, it was good.
Because the reason I asked that is because anybody that's listening to this first 5 minutes of the podcast, they would say that you'd be wasted behind a computer. Do you know what I mean? You're a customer relations man. You're the kind of person that can talk to people. The relationships that you've built up with people since August last year is phenomenal. You see so many people backing you on social media, and people that I speak to speak very highly of you. So it's such a shame that it didn't happen before, but it's happened now. And that's a great thing, especially for businesses that you're working with, because not only can you build relationships with them, but like you spoke about with the relationship you've got with Claire Madge, and that's somebody that's that driving force, you two can go out as a team and really help mortgage brokers, can't you?
Absolutely. And yeah, you can never, no matter what you do, I think that customer service aspect, I think, is so important. And in a world that's really confusing, and in a world where there's quite a lot of negativity, actually just being somebody that can be used as a soundboard for not only other people's ideas but their frustrations, I think is something that I've always been good at that. So I think that's been really, really important. But then also being guided by the likes of Tony Smith and Richard Colson to reading books like Raving Fans, I think that added a different element to it. It really changed my outlook on life and the trajectory of my career and where my life was going. So I'm very grateful for those sorts of individuals, for those opportunities, really.
Awesome. So what does your day-to-day look like at the minute? And before the podcast, we spoke about this. You said it was really varied, but what have you got booked in for this week, say, for example?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm going out and visiting one of our firms tomorrow in Wickham, which I'm really looking forward to. So yeah, like I said before, it's a really varied role. Lots of Zoom calls, and really what they consist of is, number one, developing existing Primis ARs. Do that in a number of different ways. So it's a lot of them consist of lead generation. The social media aspect of what I do really helps with that, but then also implementing processes that cover wills and trusts and those sorts of different things in order to gain more business, really. So it's those sorts of things. It's representing Primis at events, the fancy lunches in London, which I always appreciate and invite to, not just for the food, but the schmoozing, all of that sort of stuff, which is great. And also, just being a point of contact for, Primis is a big network now. There's lots of people in it working in there. So just being that person that people can come to if they have a question or need something sorting. I'm always receptive to those calls. So that's pretty, as I've said loads there, but you get the picture, I guess.
You're there as a support network, and it leads me perfectly to the next question, because I wanted to ask you this. Is you say you get a lot of phone calls in from people. What are the conversations that you're having at the moment? Because we're recording this on March the 28th, so we just had the Bank of England base rate. We had the kind of like the spring Rishi Sunak offering some support in terms of fuel and trying to ease on the economy. What are the conversations that you're having with brokers at the minute?
Yeah, so I think there's sort of two elements to that. I think number one, from out of industry people, a lot of the phone calls I'm getting are from individuals that maybe are sat in an employed role somewhere, and they're maybe feeling slightly concerned that their job isn't going to be there for that long. And they want a career change. And financial services, I find now, is actually a bit of a beacon for people that want to change and want to join an industry where they think they can progress and earn a decent living, which you can. So lots of those calls at the moment. And I think the uncertainty in the economy and just, with everything that's going on in the world, those conversations seem to be happening a lot more frequently, which is obviously great for all networks, not just Primis. And then with current ARs, I think most of my phone calls are just firms trying to stay up to date in a world that is
ever changing.
It's ever changing. You can sometimes feel like it's running away from you. One day it's this, the next day it's that. So I think, being only 24 myself, I think people sort of rely on me to know what's going on and what they should be doing.
Especially when it comes to the social media aspects, they're coming to you and going, right, if the leads do start to dry up, how do I utilize social media to get those leads?
Yeah, absolutely. And I couldn't envisage really a world where a new startup business couldn't have social media. It just, that's where we are, I think. So being able to provide that support is something that I hope they find valuable, and something that I really enjoy doing as well as a younger person within the industry.
Where are people saying, and this would be interesting for the listeners to find out, where are people saying the majority of their leads are coming from? Is it still referrals? Is it on-site? Word of mouth, yeah.
Absolutely. I'd say that it's still the most successful businesses, I think, still grow from word of mouth. I think that will always be the base. Providing a good service and getting recommendations from existing clients, I think, will always be crucial. And that's always what a business should put the most effort into initially, is how do I provide a level of service that goes above and beyond what my competition do? And that's got to be the first question that every business owner asks themselves. But then I think it can be topped up, and you can show off using different social media websites. And so I'd say, obviously, you've got your LinkedIn, but you're seeing loads of activity on Facebook now, and mortgage groups on Facebook. You've got to be in those groups and engaging with people.
Yeah, we're going to get onto that, because that's quite interesting, because it's great because you've actually done it yourself. But we were talking about social media there and word of mouth, and this is something we did on the Primis call, the excellence call. If you've got a customer review, don't just waste it by screenshotting. It's a quick little tip for you. If you've got some social proof, brand it up, put your logo on there, put your colours on there. There were a couple of people on there, Gemma at Gemstone Mortgages and Faye at Tranquility Service Financial Services. They use social media, but they brand everything up so people know who they are. So if you've got a customer review, brand it up and get shout about it on social media. That's one of the big things Primis does, isn't it? We're going to touch on the benefits of being with Primis, but that is one of the big things, isn't it? These excellence calls that you hold.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And yeah, briefly coming on to that point, you were actually somebody that taught me about the importance of branding and having, a distinctive color to your brand and images that, put in your mind exactly who you are and what you do. So I found that really valuable, and that's something that we touched upon in the Art of Showing Off Excellence call. But yeah, absolutely, we try and be as forward thinking as we can at Primis and do everything we can in order to give our firms the best platform to grow, if that's what they want to do. It's not for everyone, and firms. That's one of the things I love about Primis. We're a really diverse network. We've got, really high growth, high potential firms that, want to take on X numbers of staff. But then we've also got the sole traders, the one-man bands, the smaller firms that are quite happy just ticking along, and that's absolutely great. And we value them all the same. So, the excellence calls, they're a really good way to sort of keep our firms up to date and share best practice. So, having you on, Chris, was fantastic, and we always get a current Primis AR that is doing really well to come on and share exactly what they're doing. And I think that's really unique and amazing, because it is an industry where you might think, well, there's competition. I don't want to share what I do, but we share it really well at Primis. And I think it's definitely one of the things that I can resonate with and enjoy.
It's something I always say on here, and I echo exactly what you speak about there, is, for example, that call, there was 250 people on there, and a mortgage broker, so Faye, for example, or Gemma, they went on there and shared their secrets, really, of how they're generating business. That is definitely in Primis. You see it a lot more, but I think it's across the mortgage broker industry. Everybody is willing to help each other, which is great. There's not many industries out there, especially when there's business to be had. There's not many people that would help each other in business, whereas you see it in the mortgage industry, which is fantastic to see. And that's where we'll come on to Facebook groups as well, how people can help each other in that regard. Yeah. But personally, I wanted to move on to the social media section here. Personally, yourself, you've obviously taken this role in August. You might be known within the Primis industry, but you're not known within the mortgage world. So what you've done is you've made a real conscious effort into using LinkedIn, haven't you, to build your personal brand. So before we get into the strategies that you've adopted and the strategies that you tell other companies to adopt, if somebody was scared to use LinkedIn, What would you say? Because a lot of people say to me, I'm scared to use it because it's just my people think it's for a new job or for a recruitment. How has it changed and how is it different to that now?
I think how many years have I had LinkedIn now? I've definitely noticed a shift in the sort of content that you see on LinkedIn. And I think when I was first on there, I don't know how many years ago this was, it felt like there was an etiquette that had to be followed. And if you didn't follow it, you were not a part of the LinkedIn community.
You're going to get cancelled almost, yeah.
Absolutely. LinkedIn cancelled culture. Yeah, that's right. I think that's changed. I think people have realised that having a personal aspect to everything that you do really helps. So I think, there are sometimes people are sometimes criticised for people using LinkedIn a bit too much like Facebook. I sit very much on the side of, be you.
Okay.
But just that's really what I do, and it's something that I'm still working on, because sometimes I still will write out a post and I'll delete it because maybe I don't think it's appropriate for LinkedIn.
Right. Oh, that's interesting.
I still do that now, and I think maybe that's too much fun. Maybe I'm not posting enough today about business. So it's something even I'm working on within myself to show who I really am.
Do you know, I like that you brought that up, because there's lots of people that will sit there and say, I know how to use LinkedIn. Do you know what I mean? I use it well. This is how you should use it. Whereas you've been quite honest there and gone, actually, I'm still a bit unsure whether to put yourself out there, because it takes a lot. Somebody might look at you and think, Sam's so confident and social, I'll never get to that level. But you're actually sitting there saying, I don't know if I should post it. I would honestly say to you, get it out there, because one, people don't really care that much, being completely honest. And I know I say social media is the be all and end all, but people don't care. And two, by tomorrow, it'll disappear anyway.
That's right.
You know what I mean? So I think you should really get out. I really like the way that you mix personal and business, and I don't feel you're too one way or another. How do you decide on what to upload personally and what to upload business? And I want you to come at this as if a Primis broker has come to you with this question. What would you say to them?
So firstly, I think something that I'm working on at the moment is, I think the number one is consistency. Now, regardless of whether you're doing 100% posts that are related to your business, or whether you're doing I think experts, social media experts, whoever they are, say that it should be an 80% business to a 20% like fun ratio. Like, I don't know what the ratios are. I don't know what they should be.
Nobody knows. Be
consistent regardless of what that split is. Sure. So try and post how many times a day, at least once a day, I'd say, but it's completely up to you and what you can manage and maintain, because for some people, social media isn't easy. Knowing what to post is hard. And that's where, people such as yourself can really help and have an impact there. So it really comes down to who you are as a person, and who your clients are, and where they're going to be. Because if you are targeting an audience that isn't on LinkedIn, then posting twice a day on LinkedIn isn't really going to do much for you, apart from maybe enable you to connect with other businesses and learn from what they're doing. So it's about knowing your demographic, being consistent, being yourself, and I think still enabling yourself to be spontaneous. So the people that I think do social media brilliantly are the ones that just seem to, they just seem to, it doesn't seem planned. It's just, they see something funny and they post it. I love that. And I think my most successful post was a picture that I came across on Twitter, and I screenshotted it and I posted it with a caption. I think it had like 35,000 views.
Really?
Whereas I've had a post that I've sat there and I've deleted bits of it, and I've added bits, and I've sat there for 30 minutes, posted it, and it's had like 600 views.
And this is where algorithms and the analytical side of it and everything with social just goes completely out the window. Yeah. I fell into the trap before. I would be like, right, my most time for engagement on Instagram is between 6 and 8 p.m. So if I've got a good idea now, it's 26 minutes past 1. If I've got a good idea now, what I used to do was like, let me hold it, until 6 o'clock
Yes.
tonight, then upload it and make sure the wording's correct and all this. And then I just started thinking to myself, that's not you. That you're almost like creating like a false reality on social. So what I do now is I have my scheduled posts for the evening, which are pre-populated. They're scheduled through Buffer. But then if I was on Canva earlier and I did a bit of a video on how to centralize text, and I nearly fell into the habit of going, I'll do it at 6 o'clock tonight. I thought, no, let's just get it out now. Because as you said, that Twitter photo that you posted, it probably wasn't at the peak time that they say on LinkedIn, but it had the most effect. So don't be afraid. Don't try and fit your social content into a box. And Lee Flanagan's a big believer in this. Post when you feel that the urge comes to you. Post a little video about how you've helped a client. Post a social media review. Yes, you can have your scheduled stuff at certain times, but like Sam said there, be a bit spontaneous with it. That's the point that you were making, wasn't it?
Absolutely. Yep, spot on. Completely agree with that.
Right. So LinkedIn, you're using it a lot yourself at the moment.
Yep.
What do you do every day on LinkedIn to start seeing the success that you've seen?
I think LinkedIn's personally best for me. It's celebrating achievement.
Okay.
Not only Primis firms, but everybody. I think it's it's a nice space to make people feel good, and that's always what I try and do. So if I can post a nice comment, if I even just liking a post, I think it can make all the difference in somebody's day. So really, I think the engagement on my posts has just happened from engaging with other people's. And that's
the one thing I wanted to touch with you, because I see your name popping up. The great thing with LinkedIn, everybody, if you're listening, is when you comment on it, your name will appear in people's feeds that you're not connected with. So that's the key of engagement. But as a side product, people are engaging on your post now, aren't they?
They are. Yeah, absolutely. And if you think, I don't plan it, but if you were to plan it, you can have a look at other people that are getting lots of comments on their posts. So there is a way that you can generate more. There's a way you can generate more engagement on LinkedIn, and people that have lots of people comment and like their posts, if you comment and like on theirs and connect with them, and then they do it to you, their audience is massive, and it grows and grows and grows. So obviously you can be clever about the way you do it, and that's all well and good. But really, I just think there's no real secret or magic formula. I think you've just got to let your personality come across, really. But no, it's great that my name's popping up so much on there. It's good for me, and it's just really good to be able to shout about all the great things that other people are doing, really.
I like that. I like that you kind of flip it, and it's actually a place where I can lift people up rather than talk about my achievements. So it's a great way to talk about that. So that's your personal side. Now we're going to talk about platforms that can help mortgage brokers in terms of community. So how do you think people should use, or how do you think mortgage brokers should use Facebook and the likes of Instagram? Is the one that you're seeing is more preferred with brokers?
Yeah, I think Facebook, absolutely. I think it's Facebook reviews and things like that. I think it can be really, really effective. People use Facebook now to get advice, whether it's obviously you've got TripAdvisor and you've got all those sorts of things, which are all really, really important. But I think Facebook is used by a lot of people as a way that they gather information on what's going on in the world. Whether or not that's right or wrong, leave that for other people to debate. But I think for a financial services firm, I think you've got to be there, present in that space, in order to be able to, in order for people to be informed on you and your brand and what you do. And so there are hundreds of financial advice groups where people post every day about, my fixed rate's coming to an end. Does anybody know a good broker? If you can have somebody on there shouting about you for you, or if you can just shout about it yourself, I think it's going to help your business. And
this is where Facebook groups are fantastic. And if anybody's not used Facebook groups before, if you think of it, if you were a mortgage broker and walked into a football stadium full of 20,000 people and sat in the middle and went, I'm a mortgage broker, your voice would probably be lost. But in that football stadium, if you went in the next week and they were all divided up into sections, and there was one section of the stadium that was all people that were looking for a mortgage, you could just walk up to that section of the stand and go, I'm a mortgage broker. You've hit your whole audience. That's what Facebook groups are like at the moment, aren't they? And they're free to join as well. I think they'll monetize them in the future. I think you'll have to pay to advertise in these groups or pay to join them.
It seems too good to be true, doesn't it? To an extent. Absolutely. Because
So Facebook and Facebook groups are really good to kind of laser focus into those audiences. Have you seen many brokers using Instagram? And if so, how are they using Instagram?
Yeah, I think Instagram is there or thereabouts. I think there's still bits and pieces with Instagram that I think need to be ironed out with regards to sort of FCA rules and regulations on advertising. But I think if you're using Instagram more as a platform to really show your personality rather than sell a product, I think is where it's most successful, because just of the type of content that you can post, that would be my sort of advice or tip to somebody that wanted to know how they should use Instagram. I don't really feel like people use it to get much information about the world. I think they do it, to see things that they find funny or that look good. So yeah, that would be my, but no, there are definitely, brokers out there using it. And I think, fair play to them. I think, putting your name out, where you can, I think is important, but just focus it on where your demographic is, because I used to say, look, put your brand and your name out there in as many places as possible, but you'll burn out. So really you do actually have to focus on where your demographic is. I think that's really important.
Everything that Sam's just said in the last 60 seconds is everything I've been banging on about for the last 2 years.
I'm just copying you. Really.
No, but it's great to hear that you going out to brokers, it's not only Sam telling people this is the feedback that he's getting from people, that the people that are successful on LinkedIn are the ones that are sharing personal and business. The people that are successful on Facebook are using Facebook business pages and Facebook groups. And the people that are successful on Instagram aren't using it to push products. They're more using it to document their day, show them about who they are. If you take anything from this, use Instagram stories to document what is going on your day, and people will respond to it. So that would be the top tip from there. And that's going to close off our social media section, because otherwise we'll be here for about 5 days just running through all new social media strategies. Right, we get to the strategy question of the podcast, which I love. So we're going to pretend that you moved to the north of Scotland. You've got a laptop, a mobile phone, and an internet connection. What would you do to start your mortgage business?
I think, so personally, content that I love at the moment is a vlog.
Okay.
So I think I'd start a vlog that would document me learning about this new place that I hadn't been before. And in doing so, I'd maybe visit local businesses in that area, and I'd just document the journey and the process of me settling into this new place. Because I think, personally for me, it's really easy. And in financial services, we paint this picture that is absolutely brilliant. You know what? Sometimes it's really hard. Sometimes you finish a day and you're knackered and you think, and you know what? Sometimes I find that it's quite nice to live vicariously through something else. So I'd hope that in doing that sort of vlog or video, people could relate to my situation. And there are YouTube, we haven't touched on that, and I don't know if we've got time, because you'll know as well as I do how incredible it is with the people, millions of views on there. So yeah, it would probably be something. I'll probably do something like that.
That's an do you know what, I've had a lot of people on here that speak about, and rightly so, speak about integrating yourself into the local community, speaking to the local butcher, baker, candlestick maker. But nobody's actually said you're killing 2 birds with 1 stone there. You're not only visiting these businesses and meeting them, but you're also recording it for people to see. And you are right. I'm exactly the same. We're nosy. We want to see what's going on in people's lives, and vlogs are the perfect way to do it at the moment. The one thing I would say with YouTube is I'm no expert in YouTube whatsoever. And if anybody wants to look at the likes of Ash Ball, and he smashes YouTube, I think YouTube's got to be a bit more user friendly. I still see it as a long form video content software. So at night, I won't sit there and scroll through YouTube, but I will Instagram.
That makes sense.
Do you know what I mean?
Is that your preference? Because my preference has always been long form videos. So I've never been able to get into TikTok or the Instagram Reels. Like for me, I want a 20-30 minute video on something. Otherwise, I won't watch it. So that's it really.
Okay, that's maybe me being quite close-minded then, that there are. And the perfect example is I uploaded the podcast and I had somebody message me going, when you're doing your YouTube videos, I was like, oh, I only do audio, mate. He said, I don't listen to audio, I watch videos. And then I'm thinking, Chris, why are you so stuck in your own head? So that's why the YouTube channel started and we upload the podcast there now.
Yeah, I think it just shows that no matter what you do, there will be something that somebody likes about it. So that should give everybody confidence that, you know, whether it's short form videos, whether it's long form videos, somebody's going to like one or the other, you know. So it should instill a lot of confidence in people, really.
Like Sam said earlier, don't do it all at the same time because you'll get burnt out.
Absolutely.
So for example, this podcast, if I'd have started it a year ago, I think it was, and did video and audio, I'd probably have burnt out and not got as far as I've gotten now. But because I started with audio and I've only done video for the last 2 or 3 months, it makes it easier. So don't try and do everything at once. But I can see what Sam's saying there, that every piece of content split up into different platforms, different way of consuming them. There will always be somebody that likes it, won't there?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Right, mate, I could go on for ages, but I love the idea of that vlog. I really like the idea of kind of settling into the new town, because not only will you get the people that want a mortgage, but you'll get everyone else in the town speaking about you. And then I'm a mortgage broker off the back of it. Awesome, mate. Awesome. Right then. So before we finish, we want to have a little chat about your charity that you want to make a donation for, because you and a few members of Primis are doing something incredible, which I can never do. So talk me through it and where we're going to be making a £10 donation to.
Yeah, absolutely. So on the 16th of June, there are Primis people, but really there's a range of different people from across the financial services industry. Yeah, from lenders to all sorts of people. So I think that's between 30 and 40. So there's a real gang of us. So I'm making myself think that it's going to be more fun than difficult. So it's for Crohn's and colitis, which is something I hope you do manage to get Pam Brown on at some point, because she's fantastic. And so her son is for him really, and everybody else. So for Crohn's and colitis, so there is a link.
And this is, I don't think you've said, sorry, but you're all climbing Ben Nevis, aren't you?
We're climbing Ben Nevis.
Yeah.
We're climbing Ben Nevis. I think the most exercise I've done over the last, I don't want to think about it actually. So 16th of June, there's about 30, 40 of us. We're all climbing Ben Nevis for Crohn's and colitis. So a donation to that would be much appreciated. So the target is £10,000 and we've already raised 45% of that. So we've raised 4,500 already. So hopefully we hit that 10K target.
Fantastic. Well, I'm sure Sam, after all this, will be doing a vlog of his training for the Ben Nevis challenge. But no, awesome charity, mate. And we'll be making that donation on your behalf. So thank you for taking your time today and chatting to us on the podcast. Sam, it's been an absolute pleasure. Best platform for people to connect with you, would it be LinkedIn?
Yeah, it would be LinkedIn. Absolutely.
Yeah, get Sam connected on LinkedIn. Have a little chat with him. His inbox is always open. Really friendly guys you can hear from here. And have a look, get a few tips on social from him.
Thanks very much, Chris. I really appreciate it, mate. Love chatting to you.
Cheers, pal. Speak to you soon. Take care.
Cheers, mate.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.